His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq and His Excellency Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of the Republic of India, welcomed in a joint statement the signing of the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, affirming that it constitutes an important step in bilateral economic relations. They noted that it will create opportunities in major economic sectors, enhance economic growth, and increase the flow of investments between the two countries. The text of the statement reads as follows. In response to a gracious invitation from His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq, the Sultan of Oman, His Excellency Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of the Republic of India, paid an official visit to the Sultanate of Oman from the 17th to the 18th of December 2025. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq received His Excellency the Prime Minister at Al Barakah Palace, in addition to meeting with a number of senior officials of the Sultanate of Oman. This visit holds particular significance. It coincides with the 70th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries. The visit of the Indian Prime Minister followed the state visit undertaken by His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq to the friendly Republic of India in December of 2023. His Majesty the Sultan and His Excellency the Indian Prime Minister held an official session of talks, during which they expressed their satisfaction with the excellent level of bilateral relations covering various fields, particularly trade, investment, defense and security, technology, education, energy, space, agriculture, culture and people-to-people relations. They also reviewed the initiatives and ongoing cooperation in the areas specified within the joint vision document adopted during His Majesty the Sultan's visit to India in December of 2023. The two sides noted that the relationship between the two countries is historical in nature and has evolved into a multifaceted strategic partnership. The Indian side expressed its admiration for the economic diversification and sustainable development achieved by the Sultanate of Oman within the framework of Oman Vision 2040, while the Omani side commended India's sustained economic growth and its goal embodied in the Viksit Bharat vision of becoming a developed country by 2047. The two sides noted that trade and commercial exchange constitutes a fundamental pillar of bilateral cooperation and affirmed the potential for further growth and diversification in bilateral trade, as well as the vast potential enjoyed by both countries to enhance trade in many areas, including textiles, vehicles, chemicals, equipment and fertilizers. They also welcomed the signing of the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, which represents an important step in bilateral economic relations. The two leaders encouraged the private sector to take advantage of the agreement, noting that it will contribute to increasing bilateral trade by reducing trade barriers and establishing a sustainable framework. It will also create opportunities in economic sectors, enhance economic growth, and increase investment flows between the two friendly countries. The two sides expressed their interest in exploring investment opportunities in priority sectors of mutual interest, including infrastructure, technology, manufacturing, food security, logistics, hospitality, and also other sectors. They noted, in light of the successful track record of the Oman-India Joint Investment Fund, there is a significant potential to enhance and facilitate investments as well. The leaders took note of discussions related to exploring mechanisms to facilitate bilateral trade in local currencies. They also welcomed the continued progress on the bilateral investment treaty between the two countries and noted its potential to enhance economic cooperation and create a strong investor-friendly environment. The two sides discussed ways to strengthen bilateral partnerships in the energy sector while expressing satisfaction with the growth of bilateral trade in this field. They agreed that there is immense potential to further enhance it as well. The two sides expressed their keenness to support their partnership to increase cooperation in the energy sector, including cooperation in exploration and production opportunities in India and globally as well. and also the cooperation in new and renewable energy, particularly in green ammonia and green hydrogen. They noted the synergy between their sustainable energy goals and proposed entering into joint investments, technology transfer and long-term cooperation. The two sides commended the depth of cooperation in the defence sector and agreed to continue working towards this regard, including through thorough joint exercises, training and high-level visits to achieve shared objectives and contribute to the regional security and stability. They also agreed to undertake joint initiatives to prevent maritime crimes and piracy by enhancing maritime domain awareness and facilitating continuous information exchange. During the visit, the two sides adopted a joint vision document on maritime cooperation, reflecting their shared commitment to regional maritime security, the blue economy, and the sustainable use of ocean resources. The two sides also emphasized cooperation in the health sector as one of the important pillars of the partnership and expressed their interest in strengthening cooperation in this field. They took note of ongoing discussions and initiatives, including a proposal to establish an Ayurveda chair at the National University of Science and Technology and to create an information cell to facilitate cooperation in traditional medicine. The two sides reaffirmed their commitment to cooperation in agriculture and welcomed the signing of a memorandum of understanding in agriculture and related sectors to enhance cooperation in agricultural sciences, animal husbandry and aquaculture. They also agreed to strengthen cooperation in millet cultivation through training and scientific exchange. The two sides noted the growing cooperation in the fields of technology, including information technology, services, digital infrastructure and space applications. They expressed satisfaction as well with the deepening of cultural cooperation and the strengthening of people-to-people ties. They also welcomed the joint exhibition entitled The Legacy of Armeni-Indian Relations and took note of ongoing discussions and initiatives for cultural digitization. They also took note of the initiative to cooperate in establishing an Indian Council for Cultural Relations chair for Indian Studies at Sohar University, which would enhance cultural relations and student exchange between the two countries. The two sides welcomed the signing of a memorandum of understanding on maritime heritage and museums, enabling cooperation between museums, including the organization of exhibition and joint research. They also noted the upcoming first voyage of the Indian sailing vessel Kun Dinya to the Sultanate of Oman, focusing on shared maritime traditions. The two sides noted the continued cooperation in education and scientific exchange, including the forthcoming Armeni-Indian Knowledge Dialogue. The Memorandum of Understanding in higher education will be a key factor in facilitating the exchange of faculty members and students, institutional cooperation, and the enhancement of joint research. They also noted ongoing capacity building initiatives, including those carried out under the Indian Technical and Economic Cooperation Program. The Armeni side expressed interest in cooperation in the aviation sector and air traffic management, including the number of destinations and code-sharing arrangements, and the Indian side took note of this interest. The two sides noted that people-to-people relations, which date back centuries, represent a fundamental pillar of historical relations between the Sultanate of Oman and India. India expressed its appreciation to the Sultanate of Oman for its continuous care and support for the Indian community, numbering approximately 675,000 residents in Oman. The Armeni side expressed its appreciation for the contributions of the Indian community to Oman's development. The two sides exchanged views on regional and international issues of mutual interest. The two leaders commended or condemned terrorism in all forms and manifestations and reaffirmed that their can be no acceptable justification for such acts. They also stressed the importance of continued cooperation in this field. The two leaders expressed a deep concern over the humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip and called for the timely and safe delivery of humanitarian assistance to the civilians. They welcomed the signing of the first phase of the Gaza peace plan and reaffirmed their support for it. The two leaders also reaffirmed their support for efforts aimed at restoring peace and stability and emphasized the need to reach a just and lasting solution through dialogue and diplomacy, including the establishment of an independent and sovereign Palestinian state. The Prime Minister of India expressed his gratitude to His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq for the warm reception and generous hospitality extended to him and his accompanying delegation. He extended an invitation to His Majesty the Sultan to pay an official visit to India at a time convenient to both sides.